got to do part 1 for a few weeks before you get to part 2, okay? Another thing, this is not a tutorial displaying Dave Storm's vertical. This is to help increase your vertical. So don't be like, oh, you didn't jump that high on that one. This is giving you exercises so you can get better. On part 1, we discussed dorsiflexion and plantar flexion, right? Now this is very important. This time we're going to discuss a few strength exercises you can do just like part 1, but another important factor that you have to understand is you want to get flexibility in your ankle area. So he's going to go to my foot here. Now remember we talked about dorsiflexion. A lot of people who are jumpers, they only can bend up about that far. But you want to be able to have enough flexion where you can bring your foot up really high. If you notice, I'm almost into a complete V. That gives me more strength to work with when I go to step. That means I can push and I can get more flexion. And another thing that a lot of people need to know, you can stay on my foot, and is being slim around the ankle area. If you notice, a lot of the greater jumpers in the world, they can react a lot faster when you're slim in your ankle area and in your lower Achilles area. If you have really fat, as they call them cankles, or really fat shins, you might want to lose a little bit of weight and get thin in that ankle area. So I'm going to go over here and test the rim to make sure it's 10 feet real quick. I'm just going to jump vertically. Okay, so we got a 10-foot rim. Okay, so now that we're touching the rim, folks, and we are touching the rim because we did volume 1, right? Yeah. What we're going to do is, another important drill is to try to touch the rim from a distance. First, you want to stand under the rim, leap up and grab the rim, which is basically what we did in part 1. We leaped up and we grabbed the rim. Then we want to step back a little further, and then you leap up and you touch the rim. You can do it with one hand until you're safe enough to do it with 2. Got the rim. Then you basically take it back even further. If you notice at basketball courts, get the line. I'm going to come from the line that's in front, that's right in front of the dotted line. I'm at the circle. So if you can touch the rim from basically this line behind the dotted line, you're probably dunking a basketball. A lot of athletes, they have problems in their knees. If you're on the blacktop a lot and you're playing a lot of basketball, this exercise strengthens your lower quad, which is your vastus lateralis, and this quadricep muscle here. And it's going to strengthen this muscle here in your quad so that you can actually jump and not injure your knee as much. Do it on this leg. Every time you're training for jumping, you want to train for explosion. Every exercise you do is quick and it's explosive. So a split squat is basically, it's very explosive. You want to come down to this angle here and you want to explode up. And you want to split and you want to explode up. And you do them at your pace. Don't touch your knees on the ground and you want to explode up. That's working the quadricep, and it's also working your calves when you're landing back down. So that's a really good drill that you can do to increase your vertical. If your split squats get easy and you have to add something, you can get a medicine ball or a light dumbbell. You can take that light dumbbell, you can hold it above your head, and then you can do that same split squat. Doing that split squat with this above your head keeps your body at a vertical angle as opposed to leaning forward, or as opposed to leaning backwards. I would suggest using the medicine ball and not the weight, because if you have a weight, you might mess yourself up. You want to practice speed. If you notice, a lot of the great dunkers, they'll come in with a lot of speed. They'll stop short, and then they'll go up and explode up. It's called a penultimate step. A penultimate step is basically your step before your jump step phase. Let's say I jump off my right leg, folks. If I'm coming down off my left, that's the penultimate step. That's the step before my jump phase. And then I come into this. You can take it back up. All of my momentum came from that because I dropped my momentum low. When you drop your momentum low and then you come into your final step, you're going to automatically jerk and propel forward. If you slow down tapes, you'll notice a lot of basketball players, a lot of track runners are taking a penultimate step before they jump. They'll take the penultimate step, and in their final phase, they come in and then they propel themselves forward and up. If you don't have enough speed behind you, you won't get up high. If you notice, the greater jumpers are the faster runners. The running backs of the world and things like that. Michael Jordan was a long jumper. We all know that. A lot of these guys, they were jumpers in either college or high school. They just decided to go into basketball because it pays more money. I would have too. Jumpers are bred. in track and field. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you another track drill that increases your vertical. This is basically called the high skip. It looks kind of funny, but believe it or not, it helps you in your calves, your gastrocnemius, and your soleus, which is in your calf area, and it helps you pop from that Achilles tendon that we talked about. If you notice, when I went up, you want to make sure that your knee is at a 90-degree angle. When you're in the air, the opposite elbow will be at a 90-degree angle also. But when you get to your maximum height, you want to make sure that you propel your hips forward. By propelling your hips forward, it will give you that extra oomph that you need, or the extra distance that you need to stay airborne for a longer period of time. You see some guys, they jump, you say, wow, he went up. And then it looked like he went up again. How the hell did he do that? Well, that's one of the drills that you can do in practice so that you can get that extra jump. Get yourself a medicine ball. My medicine ball, core ball, this ball is about 8 pounds. And this is much heavier, of course, than a basketball. You stand under the rim, you squat down, and you tap the rim with the medicine ball. And then you step back and you do it again. By jumping with heavier weight in your hand, nothing like, don't use dumbbells. Because if you come back down, you'll bust yourself in the head and you'll be in trouble. But if you have a heavier weight in your hand and you get used to carrying extra weight, when you're just carrying your body weight, maybe a basketball, it'll be so much easier for you to jump. Because you'll have nothing and you'll be like, wow, look at me, Mom, I can jump up. And then you'll float because you don't have any weight in your hand. This is a plug, I don't know if y'all remember, but I did a video called workouts you can do at home. It was extreme workouts in the home. And I was doing a hamstring drill. If you don't remember it, you can go back and look at that video. I won't demonstrate in this one. But it's very important to have strong hamstrings, and I'm going to tell you why. A lot of people say because they look good. No. Your hamstrings sit right up under your glutes, which is your ass, your butt, you know. And what you want to do is you want to strengthen your hamstrings because a lot of power when you're squatting comes from your glutes to push off. If you strengthen your hamstrings, it will make your glutes sit higher, making those stronger, and then you will have more power when you come from the... Your body doesn't work in one motion, so why do you train it in one motion? So it's like when you're training for your vertical and you want to jump higher. When you're playing basketball, you're all over the court. You're moving around. You're trying to cross somebody up. So you have to train your body laterally. You have to train your body sagittally, which is basically forward and backwards. And you also have to train your body in the transverse plane, which is basically twisting. Now this exercise right here, it's also increasing your power in the lower body. It's an explosive exercise. It's a lateral, which is side to side, for those who don't know. It's a lateral exercise. So you'll be here, you're coming down, and then you're going to explode up. You come down, and then you explode up. You don't have to use a medicine ball, but if you do 10 to 12 of them, you will really feel it. And it'll be working your outer, your IT band, which is basically a muscle on the outer side of your leg. You'll be working all the muscles on the outer side of your leg. So then, if you decide to cross somebody up and give them the business, when you cross them up, they're going to go left, and you're going to be like, ooh, you're going to be gone. You're going to be gone. So it's very important to warm up properly. When I say warm up, what you should do for a warm up, I would say if it's a track around, run a lap. That's a quarter mile. Do a quarter mile, stretch really good, and you'll be good to go for a warm up. Also, when you finish playing a basketball game, kids, cool down. Don't just go off the court and be like, all right, homie, let's go home. We good. You cannot just go home. I don't care, 16 to 28 to 30, I don't care how old you are. You will be hurting the next day if you play too hard. And then your muscles might not tell you because you're used to it, but you will be in trouble. You want to keep your feet flat on the ground. If you get my legs, how they say on the ShamWow commercial, you got my legs, camera guy. So you want to get on laterally. When you're going down, you're right above the ground. If you notice, I'm right above the ground. I'm still talking to you. I haven't touched the ground yet. Now this is very difficult. You come back up. And that takes a lot of strength. When you can do that, oh, you'll be dunking from all over the court. You know why? Because not only will you have the flexibility in your quadricep, not only will you have the strength in your quadricep, and your knees will be strong enough